Greetings from the sunshine. Oh, isn't it lovely? So this is chapter 17 and Lucia gets a chapter to herself. It is, of course, a brush with paradise. I sat on the veranda, totally chilled, and contemplated the last few weeks. How interesting life was when surrounded by people. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love my own company, especially when being creative. Silence was a blessing, a spiritual song no less. Some of the folk on the islands added a certain, not sure exactly, but they added something. My thoughts swapped with exhibition, mine to be exact. Why did one get in a panic, a tizzy or a hissy fit, as an old friend used to say? The answer was a rush of adrenaline, and harbouring that feeling was the key. When I had my gallery, the same attack almost occurred when making the opening speech on private views or any talks I was asked to make. Whilst lost in thought, Lucia took a seat beside me. "You're not painting this morning?" I stepped out of my mindful discourse. "Good morning, Lucia." I was prepared for the day. The mind of an artist always works, just not always on paper or canvas. "That's a good one. You were miles away with the spirit," she said. "Yep, guilty as charged." I felt this was going to lead somewhere. "I was thinking," she said, "I would love to surprise Angus with something special. He has everything, you know." I nodded. I didn't realise he had everything. "I want you to make a picture for me, okay?" She looked a little nervous. Well, that was a first. The woman who ruled the place with military precision, feeling nervous. "Yeah, I've been thinking you are just the one to make something he hasn't got. You get my drift?" "Not exactly." I wonder what she wanted. "I want you to make a painting of me, so I give him something special, right?" Ah, now I get it. You want me to paint you. What a lovely idea. Would you like to be dressed or nude? She looked at me in shock. "I'm not taking my clothes off in front of you. That's evil. And besides, Angus would kill you and maybe me too. Nope, dressed in nice clothes and looking a perfect picture of happiness. You can do that?" I was a compliment for sure. "Lucia, it would be a pleasure and an honour. Tell me when and where. I'm at your service." She stared at me hard. Not a word to no one. Scout's honour. I had to laugh. I was so cute. See, people again, you never knew what was going to happen next. A couple of hours later, Lucia returned fully dressed for a Sunday service. She instructed me to get my art things and follow her to a room I had not been in. It had a homely cottage feel about it. There was tartan-covered chairs and a chaise lounge to match. Even a chaise longue. Maybe it was Angus's man cave or secluded hideaway. He had a soft side after all. There was a dark oak bookcase filled with leather-bound books. It all looked pretty impressive, but felt like the room had been transported from a past era. I want to be sat on the couch. Not a word to anyone. Not a word to anyone, I repeated. So she sat and raised her shoulders to pose without me asking. She looked quite regal and proper. The dark red of her dress suited her complexion. I didn't ask her to do anything. She knew exactly what she wanted. I pulled up an antique chair and started to sketch away. I looked up and felt I had to ask a question. "Lucia?" She looked at me. "How long have you known Angus?" She raised her entire stature and looked at me down her nose. "Angus and I have known each other for quite a while." That was it. Her pose was just perfect, protective yet strong. What a woman. I continued in silence apart from the noise of the charcoal as I scratched away on the surface of the paper. A couple of sketches later, I told her to relax. "It's not easy sitting still. My fingers have gone numb," she said as she shook her hands to promote the circulation again. "You need to breathe more slowly and meditate. That's what a life model told me once, a long time ago." I don't think she was too interested. "Let me see what you've done then." She stood and stretched her back and then slowly walked over to me. "What's all the writing everywhere?" No comment about herself. "Well, that's just colour references and ideas I shall fill in later on." My mind takes in the whole image, you see. What do you think? She looked, and then turned her head and said nothing for a while. Truthfully, Mr. Artist Man, you're not bad. Excuse me, like how many artists had sketched her before? Well, I hope you approve then. I shall wait to see what you do first, then me say something. I believe that she approved. That was round one to me. We left the room and she walked off to the kitchen and I went and sat outside again. I pottered around with a few more ideas and then made a loose watercolour preliminary sketch just to secure the colours and the atmosphere I wanted to create. I must admit that I would have preferred to stay and paint for much longer in Angus's secret room. No pressure then. A special painting surprise for Angus. Easy. The end of chapter 17. See you in the next chapter, which is called The Next Lesson. Till then, brush with paradise. Me, Lee Benson, signing off.